All right, so here we go. Check it out. Yes, the dev team just released a massive blog post going over what's happening with future patches. We got connectivity issues, AI bots, campaign about PvE, balancing there, what's going to be happening with weapons, quality of life, and of course, PvP, and so much stuff in this blog post. It's a lot to go over, so let's do it. We're going to start from the very beginning. Here we go. So yes, this is a message to the community, a first Q&A, which means we're going to get more of these down the road. So it says, Dear Space Marine 2 players, we've recently launched our new community-oriented platform, Folks Together, and you've made good use of it. Now, I'm going to paraphrase some of this stuff here. They do say that they're still taking your ideas. Some of these ideas are going to be implemented. Keep submitting them. And then in the year one battle plan, some of your ideas are already in there. But let's talk about what is going to be happening in major future patches. So, connectivity issues. We know some of you are experiencing server issues, loss of saves, or impossibility to connect with friends. We are ramping up our server capacity to reduce the load on them, and we are working day and night to reduce the issues. This is a top priority for the team. A bigger patch is planned soon to improve this topic further alongside new content. Now, what about AI bots? Question: bots are regularly mentioned as inefficient, making solo games significantly harder, and you suggested we work on them. According to you, they don't participate in focusing on objectives or don't do enough in tense situations. Answer is this: bots seem to be a bit passive because we don't want them to take the spotlight from the player. However, they can sometimes be a bit too passive. In the next patch, we have a few improvements of their behavior against boss fights in the campaign. We're also considering improving their involvement during specific objectives in the campaign for a later patch. And I know that was a very highly requested feature, and that's good to know that they are doing that one. But what about the campaign? It said veteran difficulty is said to be too hard in solo as the bots don't help with objectives. The answer is this: we will adjust veteran difficulty in a future patch. It will remain challenging, but it will be slightly more fair because we will tweak AI aggressiveness on this difficulty. Other difficulties will remain untouched. Now, some of you might be excited about that or a little bit apprehensive. Let me know what side of the fence you lean on here. But about PvE, so balancing. Assault is often listed as less powerful than other classes. The jump pack in PvE loses its versatility compared to the one in the campaign. Here's the answer on that one. We are still collecting data on this issue to see how we can work on it. For blocking, the blocking weapon tray is seen by the community as a bad thing for melee weapons as it removes the potential for mastery because there is no perfect parry window. Here's the response: we fully agree that this is a bummer and will definitely make changes in a future patch. So that is going to be adjusted. What about bolt rifles? So it says the bolt rifle family is underperforming while Melta gun is considered OP. Here's the response: we have noticed a bug where the Melta allows the user to heal above the contested health. We aim to fix this in the next patch. As for the rest of the weapon balancing, we hear you, and some weapons can underdeliver on the power fantasy at higher difficulty levels. We also recognize that enemies can be too bullet spongy on higher difficulty, which is not much fun. That's the core issue rather than the bolters themselves. For now, we are testing some tweaks in difficulty to make the enemies have less health, but keep engaging friendly. Yeah, a lot of times it feels so bullet spongy for sure. And then we got quality of life stuff going on here. It says you asked to be able to have several of the same class in operations mode. There's also frustration in matchmaking when two players want to be the same class. Here's the response: for now, we are focused on improving matchmaking so that you will not matchmake with other players of the same class. This is not an easy fix, so it'll take us some time to roll it out. As we're using the same class, we don't want to change that rule for regular matchmaking, but we are considering it, as an expansion of private lobbies in the future. It will take us some time to finish it. So that is probably one of the biggest highlights from this Q&A. That's probably one of the most requested things there. But again, it's going to take some time. So here's the question. It was observed that players tend to show toxic behaviors as they get kicked late during a game made by a group of friends to let their friend get the XP. The response is this: we understand this is unfair and each player will receive XP based on his actual involvement in the mission. So they're going to be changing that up. Now, saved loadouts don't include skill tree customization, making them less relevant. The response is, this is not a priority for us at the moment. Kind of a bummer there, but they have a lot on their plate. Now, about PvP, let's talk about matchmaking. You have suggested making it possible to tag as a squad of 6. The response is this: we understand this need. We want to add custom PvP lobbies and give players more control over the match, for example, frag limit, class restriction, etc. It's not that easy to make and it takes time, so please bear with us while we work on it, and we will let you know when we have a clearer visibility on when it will be released. It'd be cool to have a bunch of different customized features that you can toggle on and off in those private lobbies. So that sounds interesting. Now, balancing. So here's the question. It was brought to our attention that shock grenades are OP. Also, many of you consider melee to be underpowered. Assault is considered weak in PvP. Bulwark is overpowered in capture zones. And heavy is overpowered, too much damage for its durability. The response is this. Regarding PvP balancing, we're currently reading and crunching the data. We don't want to make rash decisions before seeing the global picture. At the moment, we're checking the most common topics such as melee balancing, shock grenades, bulwark, and heavy being too present in capture game modes. Expect some tweaks in the first big content patch, but not before. There we go. Now, no team balancing after matches creates unbalanced matches for several matches in a row. Here's the response. We have heard this many times, and we want to improve this in future patches. We are looking into it. So that's good to know. Yeah, they need to do a shuffling thing for sure. What about spawning? So, spawning locations can create spawn kill situations. Here's a response. This will be tweaked with some parameters in a future patch. We will implement spawn protection. Very good to hear, headed in the right direction overall so far. Now, most upvoted topics on Focus Together. Let's talk about it. Are we getting new colors for the lenses? New lenses colors are planned and coming soon in the next big patch. There you go. Here's a question. You asked to pick the Chaos Space Marines legions you want for every class. Here's the response. There are many lore restrictions preventing us from doing this. For instance, we cannot make a sniper with a World Eater armor. It is very tricky to match armor pieces for Chaos. Armor pieces have different sizes and styles, will clip through each other, etc. Also, in PvP, it is important to be able to recognize an enemy's class, and we want to keep the visual identity of each of them now. We will not keep it as is and would like to expand Chaos customization, but the reality is they won't be as modular as the Loyalists. So there's a little bit of a warning there, but they are looking into things. Question. Many of you have asked for new classes, and the response is this. This is definitely something we're heavily discussing. Adding a new class is quite heavy on production, as we also need to create all the customization. PvP Chaos model, variant, and animation set, depending on what we go for, we'll keep you updated about this topic. Now, about the missing armor colors, here's a response. We aim to expand specific color masks such as hand, decals, or face masks. In upcoming patches, we will be adding all successor chapters eventually. Winking smiley face. Great news on customization there. Adding new melee weapons. How about that? Here's the response. New melee weapons would definitely be an extremely cool addition. Making a weapon and designing it is fun, but we need to make all finisher animations for it. It will take time. Seems like it is something that perhaps is in the pipeline. Also, customizing your Marine's face. It's not a quick fix, but we will add options to change your Marine's face. Hey, that's actually confirmed. Dude, okay. Optimize PvP crossplay. We need more time to discuss that. Custom PvP lobbies will solve a good part of the issue. Okay. Thunderhawk customization. Doing full battle barge and Thunderhawk customization is very cool, but not up in our priority list. We prefer to focus on art teams on creating new maps. At least they're honest, you know. I do agree that creating new maps is a higher priority. Then Pyreblaster in PvE and PvP. We say this about that. We will add it, but it will take time because of visual and gameplay progression. We'll keep you updated. Hey, they just blatantly say they're going to be adding that in there. Nice. To be able to customize the AI squad mates, still in discussions. And then the Elite Custom Armor Profile, the response is, we worked on this. In the next patch, you will be able to overwrite a custom preset with a default one. All right, now, this is highly requested. FOV slider and left-right shoulder swap. So FOV slider is not something we are comfortable with, as it will degrade the visual aspect of the game, and on top of that, is very complex. Our game is not a first-person shooter. The camera that we have is very cinematic and constantly changes positions and FOV based on what you are doing. Still, we do understand that it is a very popular request. We are considering it anyway. Okay, as for shoulder swap, if we are to implement shoulder swap, we will need to support it for all melee animations and transitions, because everything in melee combat was made based on the fact that you hold your pistol in the left hand and melee weapon in the right hand because it looks badass. Nevertheless, shoulder swap is a feature we will not add in the game. Oh, wow, okay. They just blatantly say shoulder swap is a feature we will not add in the game. Okay, so get used to it, not having a shoulder swap. Now it says get rid of class restriction on cloaks and tabards. It says these are part of the class identity. You get to recognize snipers because of those elements, and iframes on gun strikes. Gun strikes are a risk reward action, and that is very easy to spam. We specifically did not put an iframe on it for balancing reasons and are not looking to change this intention. Some of you might be bummed to hear some of this. Let me know how you guys are feeling so far. Now, they go on to say this: we hope the first batch of Q&As has answered your hot topics. Stay tuned on our socials. All right, so yes, they will be doing more of these in the future. And overall, I think some of it is headed in the right direction. It is a bummer about the shoulder swap, I will say, especially for PvP. That would have been nice to have it in there, of course. But yeah, it's also noteworthy that we are going to be getting the Pie Blaster. So that's badass. That's going to be very cool. They did say it's going to take some time, but hey, I am here for it. And I did not expect them to say that you're going to be able to customize your Marine's face. That'll add a whole element to it as well. So yeah, some cool stuff going on for sure. And I wanted to keep you guys up to date and in the know about what's happening there. But I did want to also go over some of your top comments from my previous video. All right, so yeah, let's do it. Here are your comments. It says, bro, I swear Helldivers 2 players make everything a Helldivers situation. Exactly. I just think a lot of crossovers happening between Helldivers 2 and Space Marine 2. It only makes sense, and people are kind of apprehensive from the Helldivers 2 experience. Although, I'm hearing good things cropping up about Helldivers 2 and how they're handling that situation. A lot of buffs, perhaps, going on with that game as well. So, I might peek back into it. We'll see. Then we have this one right here. The bolters feel a bit underpowered, putting like 20 shots in Tyranid face, and it still charges me. Yeah, it's good to note that they're going to be adjusting the health on some of the enemies. Now, the server issues are killing me. I only have a couple hours to game each night, and the possibility of not being able to get into a game makes me not want to even load it up. The frustration is real. I didn't honestly realize how widespread of an issue this is. It sounds like it's pretty widespread, at least from the comments that I am seeing on my video. A lot of you guys are dealing with connectivity and server issues. Strangely, I am not. I'm on PC, by the way. Let me know what console you guys are on or platform. I'm very curious. Next up, we have, if Horde mode is what I think it is, where you face off against hordes that get more and more difficult every wave, then a reinforcement mechanic where you call in, say, a squad of Imperial Guardsmen would be really great idea. In my mind, you would rack up points from killing the hordes and use that to purchase these reinforcements. Imagine if you can call in Lamon Russ. Dude, I'm telling you, it would be so cool. And I don't think it would be hard to program. I mean, they already have a lot of soldiers on screen anyway in the campaign. I just feel like that this is something that could potentially be doable. It would be very, very cool to see, I gotta say. All right, next up, we have people saying clunky melee at this point is a skill issue. Their melee is great, and if anything, it's nice with the parry system. Learn to play the game, Mr. Reddit user. 241 upvotes. I think that with the melee system, they needed some sort of training behind it, a training grounds type simulator where you go in and they tell you the difference between balance, block, fencing, and really get you involved with the controller, and you go through trials just for the melee moves, the parry system, all that stuff. I think that should have been part of going into operations mode specifically, and it should have definitely been mentioned in the higher difficulty. It's like a requirement. It is a requirement to learn for sure. But there it is. The latest happenings around Space Marine 2. As always, I have you guys covered. Look out for more news and updates, and I will see you all next time. Take care.